All right, so let's do a little quick introduction to RStudio. So when you open RStudio, you'll see what's called the console here in a big box on the left. And then you'll have kind of an environment box here and a file box in the bottom right. And we're going to start by going up to this little box here, which is create a project. And in this case, I'm going to use an existing directory, but you might want to start a new directory if you're starting something new in RStudio. So we're going to navigate to the navigate to the project, and you'll see we still have this blinking cursor here at the prompt in the console. This is one place that you can start typing code in R. But I'm going to also show you an additional place. So let's see, we've got the project going and we want to import some data into R. There's a bunch of different ways we can do this. We're going to start by, since we already have the data in the project, I started a project in the same folder where I stored my data. And you can move your data into the same folder where you have your project, and that will help things. So if we want to open up the frog data, we can click on it and say import data set. And it's going to preview the data for me. So I can see here my variables and the data in different rows. And you can change the name of the data here if you like. We're going to just keep it as a default for now, but that's a real nice trick. You can shorten the name there if you like. You can say import, and it's going to show right here the code that it's going to use. So it's going to use a package called readr, and it's going to call that package. It's going to run this code that says make a new data frame by reading in the CSV file, 2023 frogdata.csv. That's the data file that I selected. And then it's going to run the code view the X 2023 frog data. So in the background, it's running all of this code. And so if I click import, you can actually see that code down here come through the console. So basically call the package readr, and then make a new data frame by reading in the CSV file. And it says, okay, I did that. I had 26 rows, 5 columns. It has one character variable called sex, and then a bunch of double number variables, frog ID, snout vent, shank, and mass. And then it says view the frog data. And then the frog data showed up here in this, this upper left-hand corner. So that's great. Now you can see your data in here. So we did all of that by right-clicking or clicking on the data and then saying import, and it ran all this code for us. But we could also have just typed the code in ourselves if we wanted to. That's one of the nice things about this graphical user interface that's RStudio, is that sometimes there's buttons we can click instead of having to do everything by code. So we've imported our data as a CSV file. That's great. The next thing that we might want to do is start a script. So a script, if we go up to File, New File, and a new R script, opens like a blank page in R. It's like a scratch page. It's really great. It's a place you can type all kinds of notes as you go. You can also type in your code here and then save it so you can rerun it in the future. So a couple quick tricks in the script box is if you've used the number sign or the hashtag, it turns the script green and it makes it so that R is going to ignore everything you write now. So I can write like Carrie's lab notes, R script file for stats labs. And it's in green, and what's nice about that is R is just going to ignore it. So you can leave yourself little notes in your code as you go. You can also save this. So we're going to say file, we can save it here. And it lets you save it wherever you want to. So I'm just going to call it frogs right now. And next, we can do some interesting things with the frog data. So the first thing is that it's renamed the frog data, this X 2023 underscore frog underscore data. If I want to do a lot of code with this data set, it's going to get really tiresome to keep having to type that name. And so the first thing that I might want to do is shorten the name or assign the data set to a shortened operator. And so to do that, I'm going to type something simple, like maybe I just want the data to be called frog. And I'm going to use this little arrow code. So it's a less than sign and a dash. And that says, make a new object called frog. And we're going to have it turn the X 2023 frog data. See how it highlighted this for me? It's pretty smart. Turn that frog data into a new object called frog. And then I'm going to hit run. So this time, what it did is anytime I type something up here in the script box and clicked run, it throws it down into the console for me. So I don't actually have to type anything down in the console directly. I can type everything up here in my script box. So now I've got a new data object called frog that is the data, but it's got a shortened name, which makes things handy because now if I want to do some other kind of function, like show me the head of frog, which is going to give me like basically the headers and the first 5 columns of the data set, just to make sure I'm talking about the right thing. Then if I say run, now it spits out in the console and the output, it shows me a little a table basically that's 6 by 5. So 6 columns by, or sorry, 6 rows by 5 columns. And it shows me my frog ID, the sex, the vent, the shank, and the mass. And it shows me the first 6 rows. You could also have it show you more or less. So we can say, show me the head of frog, but only show me 5. And then it's going to show me the first 5 rows. That's pretty cool. And another thing we can type is str. So this is going to show me the structure of the frog data frame. And run, I always have to remember to run it. Now here in the console, you can see the code we ran, and it says it's a table, 26 rows by 5 columns. And these are the columns, frog ID, which is a number from 1 to 26. Sex, which is a character. There's 26 entries, and they're either Fs or Ms. Snout vent in millimeters is a number, 26 of them, and they vary. Shank in millimeters and mass in grams. So that's really great. It gives me a lot of information about the different variables in my data set. I think those are most of the things that I wanted to show you. Be sure to save it. And you can also, when you close RStudio, you can save the workspace, and that's going to save some of the other characteristics of the space, like possibly it will save this new object frog and the original data set. And you can always open up this script again and easily run all of your code. So this is an excellent record of the code that you are writing as you go through your analysis, and can be really useful when you encounter a new data set and you say, oh, hey, how did I get the heading and the top 5 data rows for that frog data? Well, you have it saved here. How did I import data? Well, you have it saved here. So that's just a real quick introduction to a few things in R. Again, like you might just real fast keep in mind that you can write yourself notes. So use code below to assign a shorter name to a complex data. Use So for the first 5 rows in the headers data file. And show the structure. There you go. So you can use hashtags to keep yourself organized when you're coding in RStudio. Have fun.